Long time ago, in the land of Yukon, a mighty king rose to power. His name was King Odin of Zuba, known for his ruthlessness and insatiable hunger domination. King Odin was not just a ruler, he was a tyrant who enslaved his own people and the inhabitants of neighboring villages. Driven by greed and a lust for power, he unleashed terror on any who dared challenge him. His brutality knew no bounds, and with each victory, his cruelty only grew. King Odin began his reign by attacking the smaller kingdoms around Zuba. He would challenge their kings to duels, knowing fully well that his warriors and his dark magic would make him victorious. One by one, the kings of neighboring lands fell under his blade, and their lands and people became his spoils. He enslaved the men to work in his mines and fields, the women became servants in his palace, and the children grew up under the shadow of his cruelty. The kingdom of Awa, just beyond the western border, was different. The people of Awa and Zuba had lived as brothers for centuries. According to legend, the founders of both kingdoms parted ways and established their respective lands. Despite ancient division, the bond between Awa and Zuba remained strong over the years, and both kingdoms thrived in peace. But greed respects no history, and King Odin becomes blinded by his ambition. Though the king of Awa, King Adewale, trusted Odin and maintained their peaceful alliance, Odin had other plans. One fateful night, he led his warriors under the cover of darkness and attacked Awa. The people were caught off guard, they never expected treachery from their brothers. King Adewale fought valiantly, but he and his entire family were slaughtered. Unbeknownst to King Odin, however, King Adewale had an affair with one of the palace maidens, who had fled during the chaos of the invasion. Pregnant and terrified, the maiden found refuge in a distant land, far from the clutches of King Odin. In the far-away kingdom of Oron, the maiden, named Adejua, gave birth to a son she named Kakasondo. As Kakasondo grew, Adejua often recounted the stories of his father's bravery and how King Odin had destroyed their homeland. Though she tried to shield Kakasondo from the violent past, the boy was determined to one day avenge his family and reclaim the throne of Awa. He trained tirelessly, mastering the art of combat and strategy. Against his mother's pleading, Kakasondo vowed to return and confront the wicked king. By the time Kakasondo reached manhood, King Odin had consolidated his power further. The once prosperous lands of Awa and Zuba had become barren under his reign of terror. Taxes were exorbitant, and those who could not pay were beaten or sold into slavery. But whispers of rebellion grew louder, and Kakasondo began to gather followers from both Awa and Zuba, people who had suffered under Odin's tyranny. With each passing day, their ranks swelled, and a rebellion took shape. The decisive battle took place at the plains of Eri, where King Odin's forces clashed with Kakasondo's rebels. A fierce bloody confrontation took place, with neither side willing to yield. But Kakasondo, empowered by the memory of his father and the support of those seeking justice, fought with unmatched determination. In a dramatic duel, Kakasondo struck down King Odin, and in a symbolic act he freed the slaves held in chains. The people rejoiced, and Kakasondo took his place as the rightful ruler of both Awa and Zuba. In the aftermath, he sought to eliminate the remnants of Odin's tyranny, executing members of the king's family and his wicked cabinet members who had supported the reign of terror. Except for one. The king's beautiful daughter, Princess Adesewa. Princess Adesewa had grown up in her father's shadow, but unlike her father and brother, she had a gentle heart. She was known for her kindness, often secretly helping the villagers despite the risk of her father's wrath. Kakasondo, recognizing the goodness within her, spared her life. He married her, hoping to unite the two kingdoms under a new era of peace and harmony. For the first few years of his reign, King Kakasondo ruled with justice and fairness, bringing prosperity back to the land. However, power is a dangerous temptation. As Kakasondo's reign continued, the echoes of ambition stirred within him. He began seeking out powerful sorcerers and shamans. acquiring dark charms to fortify his rule. With each charm, his soul darkened, and the benevolent ruler, who had once fought for justice, transformed into a tyrant like those he had once defeated. He began to view dissent as treason, and any challenge to his authority was met with swift and brutal retribution. Fear once again gripped the land. And the people whispered of the days when King Odin reigned, wondering if anything had truly changed. Adesewa watched in sorrow as her husband became more tyrannical with each passing year. She pleaded with him to remember why he had fought in the first place, but her words fell on deaf ears. They had 2 children, a son named Oba and a daughter named Iniola. Oba, the crown prince, was molded in his father's image. Iniola, on the other hand, took after her mother. She was gentle, compassionate, and loved by the people. Unlike her father and brother, she sought peace and harmony, often visiting the villagers and aiding them in secret. Despite her father's disapproval, she fell in love with a young farmer named Duro. Duro was poor, but he was hardworking and honest. He had grown up in obscurity, raised by an elderly farmer who found him abandoned in the forest as a baby. Unknown to Iniola and even to Duro himself, he was the son of the previous wicked king, King Odin. Years ago, during one of King Odin's many conquests, he had raped a young village girl. The girl became pregnant and, out of shame and fear, left the child in the forest to die. But fate had other plans. The farmer who found the baby raised him as his own, teaching him humility and the values of hard work. Duro grew up unaware of his true lineage, living a simple life until he crossed paths with Princess Iniola. They both fell in love with each other over time, wanting to spend the rest of their lives together. Duro loved Iniola so much. He begged his father and kinsmen to follow him to the palace, so that he can ask for the hand of the princess in marriage from her father, King Kakasondo, but out of fear, they all refused to follow him. Against the discouragement from his kinsmen, Duro went alone to meet the king. When Duro approached King Kakasondo to ask for his daughter's hand in marriage, the king was furious. How could a mere farmer dare think he is worthy of marrying a princess? In a fit of rage, King Kakasondo ordered guards to beat Duro and banish him from the kingdom. Wounded and humiliated, Duro fled to the forest, where he found refuge in a secluded cave. That night, he had a dream in which the ancient gods of the land appeared to him. They revealed his true identity and told him that he was destined to reclaim the throne that had once belonged to his bloodline. The gods blessed him with spiritual powers, that is way stronger beyond the power and magic of any mortal. This gave him the strength to challenge King Kakasondo. Empowered by the gods and fueled by the knowledge of his past, Duro returned to the kingdom. He gathered a small band of rebels and began dismantling magical protections that made King Kakasondo invincible. One by one, he neutralized the king's charms, weakening his hold over the land. The final confrontation took place in the palace courtyard, where Duro faced King Kakasondo in single combat. Despite the king's prowess and dark powers, Duro's determination and divine protection proved stronger. In the end, Duro struck down King Kakasondo, ending the cycle of tyranny. With the tyrant defeated, Duro took his rightful place as king. He married Princess Iniola, and together, they ruled with wisdom and compassion. The people, once living in fear, now prospered under a reign characterized by justice, kindness, and harmony. The story of Duro, the illegitimate son of a wicked king who broke the cycle of cruelty, became a legend passed down through generations, reminding everyone that even in the darkest times, hope and righteousness can prevail.